Hello, hello, and welcome. Hope you had a great weekend. We sure did. It was my online fall retreat this weekend, so lots of cards were made, lots of boxes, lots of fun stuff. We had a blast. So I hope that you made some cards for World Card Making Day on Saturday. I saw that some of you had some great plans, and I'm excited to see the cards that you made. Please share them with us. We love to see them. And then remember, it's make a card, send a card. So make sure you send those cards to people that just might need a little pick me up today. You never know. Hello, ladies. Well, I'm so glad that you're here. A couple things. The Designer Series paper sale is on right now. It's 15% off. I know we all love Designer Series paper. That means pattern paper for those of you that are new to this crazy Stampin' Up! World. We call it Designer Series because that's what it is. It's gorgeous. But it's pattern paper, basically. And a lot of them, and it's not all of them, if you go to my shopping site and look at the top, it'll have a little thing that you can click on that will say paper sale. I'm not sure what its real words are, but I'll put the link up later. You can see which ones they are. Really beautiful. But part of the problem with all these great Designer Series papers is we buy them and then we just keep them in the package because they're so pretty, right? Right. Shannon apparently ordered a little bit. So we need to make sure that we use it. My good friend Kylie, who is a demonstrator in Australia, she has this amazing hashtag, love it, chop it. And Kylie came up with that a few years ago, and I've done it a couple of times. She is much more involved, has lots and lots of details and lots of cutting. I've tried to simpler it down so it's not so overwhelming about what you have to do. And that's what we're going to talk about tonight. We've been talking about getting started making your handmade cards for Christmas, and there's just so many steps to it. So last week we talked about, and again, all this stuff is on the blog, so if you're not sure, you missed something, you can go back and check it out. It's all there, or it will be there. This will be here tonight. The sketches that I'm showing you tonight, the cutting guides, those are there. You can download them. They're there now. So anywho, Kylie, if you want to know more about what she does, her name is Kylie Bertucci, and her name is on the blog too, so that you can find it. She has much more detail, lots and lots and lots of things that she does with her Love It, Chop It. I keep it kind of simple because that's who we are here, but I wanted to share it with you. So there's a 2-page handout. This is the first one, and this deals with Designer Series paper. So let's just talk about that. Designer Series paper from Stampin' Up! Comes in 2 sizes. It comes in packs of 6x6, or it comes in 12x12. Okay? Okay. So when you're going to put your card together, this is where the other part comes into play, and I will show you these in a minute. Basically, 4x5 1/4 is the bottom layer of your card pizza sandwich, or pizza or sandwich. I call it kind of like layering pizza. You put down sauce and mushrooms and sausage and peppers and onions and cheese, all those things. Well, that's how you build a card. You start with your crust and you build it on up, okay? So we're going to talk about how to get the paper cut up, and then we're going to build some cards. All right. So let's say you have some beautiful Designer Series paper. This is the brightly gleaming specialty Designer Series paper. And honestly, this was here last year. This is one that was so gorgeous that Stampin' Up! Brought it back. We love, love, love this one. This goes with the brightly gleaming. This is one of the ones I talked about last week that was a good one to get started with because it's not super crazy. This is a really good bundle. It comes with 2 punches, both ornaments, right? And then you have these stamps that coordinate with the ornaments. You have the great sentiment of Merry Christmas, be jolly, and be jolly this season. Deck the halls with boughs of holly. They could all go together. This is kind of cool. So, and a little bit of just distressing spritz. I'm not sure what that is. I don't have a good name for it, but it's really cool. And this art drawn artist rendering of holly leaves and berries. So lots of cool stuff. That's one option. But let's get back to the paper. This paper is beautiful. It's very vanilla is the base to this. Now remember, Stampin' Up! Does two. They do very vanilla or whisper white. This particular one is based on very vanilla. If I try to use whisper white, it makes the paper look dirty. So you want to make sure that when you're looking at your Designer Series paper, you look on the back. Whoops. You look on the back and it will tell you, remember what the colors are. Let's zoom you in so you can see. All right. So it tells you that this goes with Mossy Meadow, Night of Navy, Pretty Peacock, and Very Vanilla. So those are the cardstocks that you're going to want to go with this one, okay? So let me see if I can grab those quick. I probably should have had them ready, but I didn't. And we'll get to that. I don't want to keep you waiting. So those are what you're going to use, okay? Those four colors, Mossy Meadow, Night of Navy, Pretty Peacock, Very Vanilla. All of our papers tell you that. Now look at these. These are gleamy on one side and then just great patterns on the back, not screaming. There's two of each one. This is a Night of Navy with the glimmer and then a nice overall pattern. I know it's a little busy on there. This is probably one of my favorites. I love that. That's Pretty Peacock with the gold. And this one, love that. And if you look, that's Very Vanilla, is that white. All right. This one's cool. Let's look at the back. A darker color. I believe so, Deborah. Yeah, it didn't retire. Stars. And then some great stripes, okay? All right, so you can probably cut 4 sheets if you have a new sharp blade at a time in your trimmer. So we are going to go with the 12 by 12. First things first, we're going to cut off a 1.5 by 12. Deborah, I'll double check on that for you, but I'm pretty sure they do. And I'm going to cut off a 1.5 inch strip. I have you do this first because then you have this 1.5 inch strip to work with. Not a bunch of little pieces. You're going to have this first. Okay? Now, you're going to save that. This could be used for an envelope decoration. It could be used for punches. It's a good use of paper. It's a good size. You can do something with it. Then, okay, so we did that. Let me bring the picture back. There's our 1.5 by 12. Now we're going to cut these at 4 inches. 3 strips. There's one. Oh, sorry, you guys. Thanks, Janie. Oh, good, Lana. Yep, it's still there. Pretty Peacock. I thought it was. Okay. So now you have these 3 strips, and now you're going to pop this in and cut this at 5 1/4. Okay? And it's also going to give you 5 1/4 over here. We're going to go ahead and do all of these. And you're going to basically go through the whole pack and cut this. Now, if you are a scrapbooker and think you might need a 12 by 12, then what I do is I either buy another pack that's going to be my 12 by 12 pack, or because you have 2 of each one, I pull out 1. So I only cut half of them. But the reason you're going to want these cut is it makes your card making so much easier. Right? So I have these. You probably noticed, you might have noticed this. This is one of our empty stamp cases. It is. So you have until 2021 for those colors to go away. They'll be here another year. Sometimes if we love them, Sometimes they become a real color, but usually not. Usually they introduce 4 new ones, and we get new ones. I love Pretty Peacock though. So this is one of the wide stamp cases, and I'm going to put that in there, and I'm starting to build my kit that goes with this paper. And I'm going to do this with all the sheets, okay? So then I'll have my designer series paper cut. That's this option. Now what if I have the 6x6? So this one, first things first, you're going to cut off a 2-inch strip, okay, of your 6x6. And you can do the same thing. You can have a whole stack of them. And that's going to give you a 2x6, which is a great piece of paper to work with. You can actually do things with it. You save that. And then I'm going to cut off a 3. I'm going to cut this at 5 1/4, which is going to give me this strip, which can be used really handily on the front of a card, an extra. So there's really not a lot of waste. Then I end up with these 3 pieces. Okay. I'm going to put those in another box. So I have one of these for each of the designer series papers. And then I start building them. Then you're going to build, okay, so that's your designer series paper. That's the first page. The second page of this handout, which didn't print for me, my printer ate it, but that's okay. You don't need to see the printout. The printout is these. This is kind of like playing cards. Or I think of it as like building blocks when you were little and you were going to build a house and then you decorate it. So this is building your card's base. Now Kylie has lots more options. I stick with these. This tends to be enough to give me a good card to get me started. Okay? So this is your card base. This is your pizza crust. So it's either building blocks or pizza, whichever one makes, I tend to go with the pizza, but you know. Very Vanilla and Whisper White. Notice these are two different card designs for a card base. There's thick cardstock in both of these. Thick Whisper White and thick Very Vanilla. Highly recommend those as your card bases. It makes your card feel so much more elegant. But anywho, this is a Whisper White, Very Vanilla. So how do we cut those? Remember, our cardstock starts out at 8.5 by 11. So I'm going to show you this Whisper White. And I will tell you, I tend to go with this card design 90% of my time. I think just because that's the way my brain thinks. But this one's really handy too. They both fit in our same medium envelope, so you don't have to worry about that. You could do a little bit of each. This is the standard 8.5 by 11. I'm going to put it in and I'm going to cut it at 5.5. 2 cards, right? I'm going to then turn it and I'm going to score it at 4 1/4, which is halfway. And now there's my card. It's a really great idea to order a pack of thick Whisper White and spend some time cutting it up. And then you would have your card bases all ready to go, and they could have their own thick stamp case. It's full or thin I think that's how they're labeled. If you just if you just go into the Stampin' Up! Store, and in the search bar, I'll put the links below for you later, but if you want to look right now and search stamp cases, you will see your options, okay? This is the one I recommend. The other one is the standard, the way our stamps come. Same size. They're exactly the same size, but this thicker one lets you get more papers in there, okay? All right. So that's how you get your card bases. And then let's do the other way. The other way again, it's one cut too. You just put it in the other way. So we went this way before. Now we go this way. And it's 4 1/4. And now we're going to score at 5 1/2. So it's the opposite of what we just did. Okay? And then we have this kind of card. All right, so now I'm going to move this trimmer over for a minute. This is how you build a card. You take your card base, and then you take, and I suggest that you cut some of these for yourself. Different colors, so that you can actually see what's happening. And you're going to put this down. And then the next one would be this color, okay? Then we might add another layer, or maybe we're just going to go with one. We could put this in the middle. We could turn our card, let me turn this way so you don't see these sizes. We could turn our card this way. That gives you a different look. You could then add this to the front on one side. So you can see that it's really easy. This gives you a shadow layer. I tend to like shadows to them. I think it lets the image pop off the page. Okay, so now I've got this all figured out. I'm going to actually make a card using these items that I have. So I want this layer out of designer series paper, and I want this layer out of a coordinating designer series paper. I want this layer out of a solid cardstock, and I want this layer to stamp on out of a Whisper White. I'm going to save these guys for another one. Okay? All right. So now, let me think about this. I'm going to start with my card base. I cut some of I haven't cut them all yet, but I have a few options here, right? So, oops, I don't want this card base. I want Very Vanilla. That would look funny. Okay, so I've got my Very Vanilla. So this card I've cut in this direction, but it could go like this too. And I'm going to start with, let's spread these out, 4 by 5 1/4. Well, isn't it handy that that's what I cut these at? Look at that. So that's going to go like that, and that fits there. But maybe I want that instead. Yep, I do. I want that one to come up like that. Now my plan is to cover this up, right? I was thinking this was going to go on top, but now I'm thinking maybe, you know what, that would be good to show behind. So now I'm going to cut this designer series paper down to this size. So what am I going to put behind it? Well, let's look at our options and see. I could put cardstock behind it. I only have 4 choices here, so I guess we're going to go with the stars. So the stars are going to go there. You may say, you know what, I don't like this combination. I want, let me get my colors out here. So now I have a Mossy Meadow and Pretty Peacock. If I were Pretty Peacock, where would I be? I know I have it. Hold on. Let me just keep looking. Let's not get excited here. Oh, nope. That's not her. Pretty Peacock is a girl in my world. I don't know why. I used a lot of it this weekend, but I thought I had more. Maybe I don't. Maybe I do. No. What was the other one it said? Night of Navy? Yeah. Well, we could use some Night of Navy. I have too many colors here. Okay, so we have Night of Navy. So we're going to go with that instead of Peacock. Okay. So, now I know I look like I'm super confused, but I'm really not. I just have a lot of choices. So here's how I'm going to figure this out. I like this. This is on the bottom. then I like this, and then I like that, right? Now I'm going to do a piece of, I want this, and I want this one. Now, I am a crazy matchy girl. I really have a hard time, and I really struggle with putting two patterns on one card. That's just me. Some of these patterns aren't so bold, so I could probably get away with it. There's a green one here somewhere. This might work. I might be okay with that because it's not crazy. So let's bring that in and let's cut that. Now, if I had all these cut, I wouldn't have these full-size cards floating around, these pieces of paper to deal with. I would just be going into my little box and picking out what I wanted. If they're all cut, then all I do is just grab them and put them together. Now you're thinking, that's a lot of sizes to cut. It is. So I don't usually cut these. I cut my designer series paper and then I worry about these. Okay, so let's figure this out again. This plan is this one, and literally this is a good way to put them down so you don't get confused. This one is this one. I am going to do this. I'm going to go with this cardstock again. And then this 3x3 is going to be very vanilla. Okay? Okay. So here's a piece of very vanilla that's going to be that. Now I can go back to cutting. Now I've made my plan. Now I've figured out what's going to go where. I just have to cut them. So I'm going to go with this guy first. And I'm going to cut this down to 3 3/4. I've got this itty bitty little piece left by 5. And another itty bitty little piece. Don't throw those away. You might think of something to do with them. Yeah, Becky, I can't do that. So there's that one. Now I need this to be 4 by 5 1/4. So I'm going to go to 5 1/4. And I'm going to go with 4. Okay, so there's that one. Then I'm going to go with this one at 3 1/4. By 3 1/4. Okay, and then I need a 3 by 3. Now, once you've done this a few times, you won't need to put these little pieces together. You'll remember. But I'm telling you, it gets really confusing at the beginning. Even if you have a sketch to follow, it just gets to be a bit much. So here are our pieces, and now we can put these all together. So let's bring you back. And let's bring in, here's our base. And we're going to pop that right on here. So that's that one. I can put that to one side. Then this one comes next, and that's going to go like so. Oh, I love that. Super pretty. This paper is so elegant that it honestly could stand on its own. Right? And my little frame behind it gives me just enough. Okay, then next is this one. And I'm going to bring you in, and you're going to go like that. And then you, right? Okay, this is where I'm stamping. So I'm not going to put those down yet. I'm going to bring this back to stamp. And I am going to use this guy. Now I could do some really crazy, I could do heat embossing, lots of options. I'm going to keep it super simple. One of the things that I think we get overwhelmed with is we look at things and think, oh, I need to do this, 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 and this. Well, I really don't. I can keep it simple. So I'm going to stamp on this piece of leftover and then punch them out. All right, so I'm going to stamp this one in Mossy Meadow. And I'm going to stamp this one. Actually, I don't know which other one I'm going to do. I'm going to do both of them in Mossy Meadow, and then we'll decide what we're going to do with them, because I don't know where I want them, and maybe they'll go on a second card. All right, super simple. Pop those right on. Where do you see these? They look so cool. Apparently that ink is dry. I need to re-ink Mr. Mossy Meadow. I've been using him a lot. Right? Okay. I don't know if I need both of these or one. Dip, not dip. What is that paper from? Oh, DSP. It is from Gleaming. I have that paper right here and I buried it. Gleaming. Brightly Gleaming. Specialty Designer Series. I know. Don't you love it? Okay, so I need to get to the other end of this guy. Yes, my love, I got you. I know. Too much. I still need to trim a little bit more. It doesn't want to fit in the punch exactly the way I want it. Now it will. There's that one. Then I want this one. Thanks, Shannon. Okay. Woo. All right. So those are our two punches. And then I want you. And I want this holly leaf. I don't know if I'm going to be able to use those punches or not, but I wanted them anyway. And I want the holly leaf. Now let's assume you just have this. You don't have blends, you don't have anything else, you just have an ink pad of Mossy Meadow, right? But you want to be able to fill in your leaves. A little paintbrush and a little bit of Mossy Meadow, and you can just paint this right in, right from the ink pad. Now, Stampin' Up! Has lots of brushes, but to get yourself started, don't feel like you have to invest in everything. I hope when you shop with me, but if you don't need to shop and you already have a paintbrush, use it. It works, okay? Just a little bit of the, and these kind of look watercolory in their drawing, so you kind of get away with this. A thinner paintbrush would honestly look better, would be easier, but you know, you make work with what you have. And you paint that in. Now if you have the Mossy Meadow Stampin' Blends, we have a light and a dark. Those work really well too. And you can see how they work a little bit different. And you color in your leaves, okay? So think about what you like. Again, remember one of the things we talked about last week when you're making these cards is you're going to think, well, how many of these do I have to do? Am I coloring this for 437 leaves? Maybe I don't like this one. Maybe I want something different. In which case you're going to stick with just your gleaming ornaments. Now, I want to show you one other trick. Now, remember I stamped those ornaments, but what if And those of you that watch me know I can't color and talk at the same time. I don't know why, but I just can't. And I'm going to grab some cherry cobbler and color in my holly berries. You can buy the blends. They come in a 2-pack, a light and dark. They're alcohol markers, like Copic is alcohol markers, but there's only 2 shades, so you don't have to have as many pens to get the cool look. What if you thought, you know what, I really, really, really liked this ornament, but I kind of like it in that paper. Well, remember we cut those 1-inch strips? Yep, you could pull those out if you knew where you put them. Remembered. Or someone didn't come along and mess up your desk, you'd be all set. I'm vamping, but I'm coming up with them. Here it is. Right? You have this. Look at this. This fits right in here. There's one, and I have just enough. So this strip of paper that you were thinking, well, that's kind of silly, it's going to give you enough to do this. And then what I like to do is just kind of tear this off and get rid of it and start again with the next one. Maybe I want to use one of the other colors. Maybe I could get away with living with that difference. So then I've got this in here, or maybe I've got this one and this one, or maybe I bring this and this. Lots of options, right? For my ornament that's going to go on there, but I need my sentiment, so I need to figure out where that's going to go. Now remember I talked to you about, this says Merry Christmas, so that's a little and will fit. One of the other things we talked about was the itty bitty Christmas and how the sentiments are little, and sometimes you need those. So this would give you a huge variety. If you're not sure about what you're going to want it to say, you could easily just put Happy Holidays and be done right there. Whoops. So we're going to put Happy Holidays on. So these are the kinds of things we were talking about trying to build your, whoa, that's crooked. Okay, there's Happy Holidays. Now I can put this ink away. You're going to need your dimensionals because these guys need to pop up a little. And honestly, when I thought I liked that, I thought I did, but I think I kind of like this better. I feel like it overtakes it, so I like that better. This guy's just going to go down. I could color this in a little, but for right now, we're good. And now, even though I punched these out, what am I going to do with them? I'm going to open up my case over here that's going to have my paper in it. And I'm going to put them in here, because I might want them later. They're right here. Right? And pop them in. So now I have them. They're not going to go to waste. I might want them later. And now let's clean up our mess so that you can see what we got going here. This is going to go on here. Now the good thing about that 4 by 5 1/4 size, if I happen to use a dark cardstock and I need something inside, I could use this same 4 by 5 1/4 would fit right inside. So this is a really useful size. Right, lots of different techniques could be done really well. I'm going to put that on there, but I'm going to pop this up with some dimensionals. So I didn't have to do any crazy anything. This is really the paper and the inks that make this just the coolest thing ever. One more. And that's going to go like that. And now we've made our card that we designed by using our little squares and shapes to figure this out. So just like building a pizza, you built your card. Now what about if you went with this one and this and this? You could get a totally different looking card, right? You could put this like this and turn it that way. Now you've got a totally different look. Okay? So you'll see the guide to cut these out, and we will add more to these as we go. But my goal was to get you thinking about putting your own designs together without feeling like you couldn't do it. All right. All right. Have a great night, you guys. And I will see you back here again on Thursday, and we'll do some more of using our shapes to create our own cards. Have a great night. Bye.